Welcome to Gravity News Channel. Russia has been continuing its policy of occupation on the territory of Ukraine for 9 months, which is opposed by all states of the world. The Russian administration, which is planning various games on Ukraine, wants to achieve through diplomacy what it cannot win on the battlefield. Since the beginning of the war, the Russian administration has tried many methods to achieve these gains. Putin declared mobilization to compensate for the loss of soldiers in the Russian army. The greatest support for Putin's decision came from Russia's ally, Chechnya. Chechen leader Kadyrov has so far sent thousands of Chechen soldiers to the Ukrainian fronts for the Russian army. However, the Chechen people were not satisfied with this situation, and there was a first time in Kadyrov's rule. Chechen citizens filled the Grozny Square to protest against Putin and mobilization. Anzor Maskadov, son of the last elected president of the Republic of Ichkeria, known for his rhetoric against Kadyrov, took a shocking decision after all these mobilization news. The Chechen diaspora announced their plans to consolidate their society and eventually return to their homeland after the occupation of the lands. This decision was stated by the son of the former president of Ichkeria, Anzor Maskadov. According to Maskadov, the consolidation of the Chechen people should lead to a return through liberation from occupation. To do this, the Chechen lands will have to be cleared of criminals and Russian invaders. About this, Maskadov said, "We want to have security guarantees for our people so that neither Russia nor anyone else can ever interfere with our independence." Dzambulat Suleimanov, chairman of the Chechen Association Bart Marcho, noted that they have no plans to form a government in exile. The aim of the activists is to have a political force that represents the Chechens. Suleimanov announced that a Congress of the Chechen people will be held on this issue. Also, Anzor Maskadov, son of the last elected president of the Republic of Ichkeria, commented on Kadyrov's order for conscription to the Russian army in Chechnya. On the Anzor page, Maskadov called Kadyrov and Putin Russian terrorists, and according to Moskadova, the sending of Chechens to war in Ukraine for the Russian army was a genocide of the Chechen people. Moskadov stated that this was due to the end of Putin's mandate. Thus, Kadyrov wanted to save Putin from the declaration of mobilization. Moskadov also issued an order for conscription for citizens born on the territory of Chechnya between 1995 and 2004. After Moskadov's statements, the Verkhovna Rada recognized the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria as occupied by Russia as a result of the war. In addition, the Rada condemned the war crimes of the Russians, especially the genocide of the Chechen people. Verkhovna Rada acknowledged that Russia had invaded Ichkeria and committed war crimes during the First and Second Chechen Wars. 287 Ukrainian deputies voted for the relevant resolution. In addition, the Ukrainian parliament called on international organizations to ensure an independent investigation of international crimes committed in Ichkeria and bring the perpetrators to justice. The Verkhovna Rada reminded that in March 1992, the Chechen Republic of Ichkeria declared its independence from Russia, but the Russians started a war. And in 1997, the Russian Federation violated the peace agreement signed with Ichkeria. After Ichkeria declared its independence, Russia decided to suppress the independence of the republic by armed means. As a result of the First Chechen War, Russia and Ichkeria signed a peace treaty, in which Chechnya became a de facto independent republic. However, in 1997, the Russian Federation started the Second Chechen War and eventually destroyed the independence of Ichkeria. Immediately after this decision, which was adopted in the Ukrainian parliament, another shocking development took place. After a protest in Chechnya, Kadyrov demanded the murder of the Prime Minister of Ichkeria, Zakayev. Chechnya leader Ramazan Kadyrov promised rewards to those who killed Ahmed Zakayev, chairman of an exiled Ichkeria Council of Ministers. Kadyrov recorded a video in which he suggested that Chechens living outside Russia should kill Zakayev and return to Chechnya in exchange for amnesty. Kadyrov said, "Zakayev is in the conflict zone. Whoever finds him must destroy him. If you shoot this goat and go home, I will give you your freedom and you will be given life. Any of you can return to Chechnya only if you take off Zakayev's pants or shoot him in the forehead." These shocking statements of Kadyrov created an event, but after this video, Kadyrov's advisor, Russian State Duma Deputy Adam Delimpkonov, made a similar request. Earlier, Zakayev, who lives in England, offered to help Ukraine for Chechen fighters in Europe. It was Russian leader Vladimir Putin who brought Kadyrov to power. Now, Chechen leader Ramazan Kadyrov takes part in the opposition of groups within the Russian Federation during the power struggle. The Kremlin's statement on the inadmissibility of unilaterally canceling the mask regime in Chechnya increased the level of tension within the Russian Federation. It has been demonstrated once again that Kadyrov does not perceive Chechnya as a responsible region to the Russian Federation, that he perceives Putin as the leader, and that everything under him is his fief. According to Kadyrov, Chechnya remains a kind of separate kingdom within the Russian Federation. Chechnya's loyalty to Moscow will decrease in proportion to the decrease in financing. Kadyrov will personally show loyalty to Putin and completely ignore the decisions of the Russian government. Kadyrov will expect to have sufficient political, economic, and military resources for this. Chechnya's influence goes beyond Chechnya itself. There is Chechen influence in the North Caucasus, criminal ethnic groups in Russia, Ingushetia, Dagestan, and most importantly, in the Kremlin. Therefore, today Kadyrov's claim is a role in Russia's future. So rather than just being the leader of Chechnya, Kadyrov wants to move forward to become the new leading school of Russia. However, destructive processes may cause Grozny's pressure on Moscow to increase, and Chechnya's conflict with the Kremlin administration. An example of these destructive processes took place among Chechen troops and opponents of mobilization. Clashes broke out between the Chechens who did not want to be drafted and go to Ukraine and the troops of Kadyrov. The international press, while announcing the developments in Chechnya, emphasized that the conflict could turn into a civil war that took place in the country in the early 1990s, raising fears. The clashes took place near the village of Samashki, located on the border of Chechnya and Ingushetia. A group opposed to Putin's decision to mobilize faced off against Kadyrov's militia. Hand grenades were also seen in the group of protesters who were armed with automatic weapons. OMON teams, a special police branch of the Russian National Guard, were urgently dispatched to the area. It was reported that Russian President Putin was informed about the situation moment by moment. While Kadyrov did not make a statement on the subject, he stated that more than 70,000 Chechen fighters would be sent to Ukraine, and in his statement on television, Kadyrov said, "We always want to live in peace and agreement with all countries. However, some countries do not want this. We're going to show that we can't be joking." Chechen leader Kadyrov, who initially did not accept his losses just like the Russian leader, realized that he could no longer hide some information. Chechen leader Ramazan Kadyrov, one of Vladimir Putin's most important allies, announced that 23 of the Chechen soldiers who were exposed to artillery bombardment in the Kherson region of Ukraine lost their lives, and 58 were injured. Kadyrov makes rare statements about the losses of Russia and its troops in the Ukrainian war. For this reason, it is noteworthy that he stated that they had great losses. Seen as one of the most important supporters of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Kadyrov urged his citizens to mobilize for the war and sent many of his troops to Ukraine. Kadyrov had recently claimed that his three sons, 16-year-old Akhmat, 15-year-old Eli, and 14-year-old Adam, were sent to the fronts in Ukraine to fight. The Chechen leader, who criticizes the Russian military administration for being too soft, advocates for the use of nuclear weapons against Ukraine. In the coming days, we will see together what will happen in the Kremlin, Putin, and Kadyrov triangle. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications in order to be informed about new videos. Thank you for watching us.